Yeah.
is that it's empowerment of the woman energy,
Yeah.
which is encompassing of men as well. Because
Yes.
we're, I still hear so much about women's empowerment to the extreme, right? And it's women that's going to move things. There's no doubt about that. But we're all balanced in the masculine. Well, we're not balanced. We want to be balanced in the masculine and the feminine energies. And I think for the four of us, we probably exemplify that tenfold. And it's being able to also bring the men along so that they can start to nurture that feminine energy as well.
That video that you sent me, Alana, from
I know. Angela and I just had this conversation. I'll share the video with all of you too, but it came through a woman who was doing AI. Like she literally went into ChatGPT and she's like, we know the feminine is in the rise, but what are the masculine play in parts of it? Anyway, I'll send that to you guys too. It's so interesting.
It's incredible. It's so powerful.
Mm.
We did in the part when we did our conversations at Meta the other day, we were talking about the balanced energies. For me, that it also goes back to the Native American Indian energies and walking a path of sacred beauty, which is the balance of both masculine and feminine. And it is about bringing in the feminine energy as the healer, as the nurturer, as the birther of the new age. And you'll see with that video, I mean, it blew my mind. I've sent it off to a couple of people as well, around the role that the masculine energy has to play. It's so powerful. I love Jade. I just love AI.
I just had a master class last night about talking about this and that divine feminine energy being your imagination. I was actually focused on imagination and the power of your imagination. And I think this is what is coming through bigger for all of us, is leaning into that acceptance instead of saying, oh, stop daydreaming, you're wasting time, that's just a pipe dream. That we actually begin to recognize that imagination as a powerful divine gift that we've been given. So the imagination comes in and flows and flows in continuously, but it's the divine masculine in our mind that holds it and directs it into creation. And so that power, divine masculine, holding the river banks, holding the river, and then the beautiful creative flow, just let it come through, allow that because it's been blocked for so long. So allowing that to flow in and then using the mind to help with the conscious creation. So getting rid of the old programming in the minds and allowing it to guide and work together.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful dance for everyone, male and female.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Absolutely. In the work that I do every day, I'm working with males and females. And it's amazing to see the men stepping up into the feminine energy. And it's funny when you say that and they're like, wait a minute, but I'm doing this. I'm like, yeah, it's not about the old construct. It's about you have the ability to go back and forth into both. And it's a compliment. It's not taking
And
away from your masculinity, right? It's
it's got
actually enhancing it.
Mm.
absolutely nothing to do with gender.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yes, nothing to do with gender.
totally. Totally.
And like you said, it's the movement between the masculine and the feminine, and then having the balance of being able to switch from one to the other, like you said, without gender of being one or the other. It's that we have the ability. I love what you said there, Janice, too, about that. It's the conscious creation in the mind that creates the path, that creates the structure for it to continue, that feminine energy to continue. Such a great analogy.
Mm, hmm. Yeah. And then just the knowing that it's not gender, it's something within all of us, and it's that beautiful, beautiful dance and the self responsibility to to navigate that within yourself when you feel yourself going too much into the old patriarchal energies, to come back into the creative flow and the, well, whatever you want to call it, your beautiful feminine side too.
I,
Love it.
I see it very much like an electrical current,
Yeah.
that ebbing and that flowing, right?
Sure.
Within us, within everything.
Yeah.
And I
So
think,
it's,
Pamela, what you were saying about staying in our own lane is so critical in the sense of shutting out the noise, because by staying in our own lane and shutting out the noise of the old and the old paradigms, it gives us the space, the pause, the room to manifest the new. Because if our attention's all out there on what everybody else is doing and all the fear and the scarcity that is being bandied about all over the place, it takes us away from why we're here, and that is to bring in the light.
absolutely. I went on a trip with my partner, and it's very interesting because we have a lot of people here who are like, we went to the States. So friends of ours here in Canada, oh my God, I don't know if I want to go there because of all that's going on, because of Trump, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? It's live your life. Like where you focus is huge. And I'm focusing on living a good life with my partner. I want to go and have fun. It doesn't matter what's going on around me, right? You're going to meet the people who are aligned with you. Literally, that's what happened.
Yep.
And it was incredibly magical. And living that and expressing that. And I shut my friends down. You know what? That's the way you want to think, fine. But I shut it down because I know differently. We had a blast. We didn't have any troubles, right? Everybody's on the same ride, having a vastly different experience for their soul's growth.
Yep.
Yep.
So I don't want to get caught up in someone else's story.
Well, and that is the fear energy right now too, right? Like that fear energy is like quicksand. And there are times when all of a sudden I feel myself in that and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? What am I feeling into? And it could be something like in my home, it could be local, it could be global, but I'm feeling it and it's sucking me in. And the awareness is to say like, oh, no, I'm rising up out of this and to pull out of it. And that's where I think a lot of people are struggling right now, is because it's very, very strong. And so we are going to need to be even more fierce light warriors. Right?
We're going to actually have to be the conduits for it to flow through into Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not taking it on. Because as a healer, the light attracts the dark, right? So in our own little parts of the world, we just need to be the conduit. Okay, there's going to be darkness. We all know that. We live that acceptance of it. We have to have both in this world, but it's being able to be that conduit that's grounded, that can allow it to flow. Because that's how we heal without having to say a word.
Right. I love how you said that, Pamela. And I love how you see it as like a current, an electrical current. I see it as like a flow, like water or air flowing. So that's kind of cool too. Like we got,
Yeah, but because
when you
they're
talk
all
about-
interconnected. Exactly.
yeah.
Angela, you
And
have the thought.
Angela, oh yeah, something's coming.
Something, I was just thinking about what you were saying around. Hold on, it's gone. It'll come back. Carry on, it'll come back. You
Okay.
said something I was going to build on, but it's fine. It'll come back.
The various elements of. Go ahead.
Always does. No, it's not here yet. It'll come. When it comes, I'll go, yeah, it's back. Yeah, well, I'm gonna, coming back to, I was having a conversation today with somebody around the kind of spirituality that comes from all of the indigenous cultures and teachings, and how we are so gravitating. Oh, that's what I wanted to say actually. It was out of the shadow, and if we can call it dark shadow, whatever we call it, out of the shadow always comes light, and everything is always in perfect balance, always, always, always. And so if we focus on the shadow and the darkness of what's going on in the world, or not to focus on that, but to focus on the light, because it's counterbalancing what's going on with all of the noise and the stories that are going on around in the world. Whether we specifically attract that to ourselves, again, is because of the thought forms that we're putting out. But for me, it's about how can I be the light. I start with my own, being comfortable with my own shadow. I start with what my own shadow is birthing for me and how it's bringing me into the realization of being more conscious. And that's then also part of the healing that we get to offer people, is because the world, the 3D world that we've all been conditioned to live in, is really rejects the shadow. It casts it aside as something bad. It has judgments attached to it, as opposed to, if we're moving in a spiral, and if we follow the analogy of day and night, we are going to go through shadow in order to know more of our light. And as we are ascending in that energy, so it's going to continue. And I don't know if you've had the experience. I often get to a point where I go, "Oh, is that back again?" And it's not.
Oh yeah, pretty sure we've all experienced that one.
It's come at a higher level of vibration that is revealing more. It's not the fact that we're still stuck going in the circular, that repeating the same old thing, like Einstein says, and expecting different results. It's the oscillation of moving upward. And as we move upward, so the consciousness is, certainly that's been my experience, consciousness is shifting. And so when you talk about Africa, the dark continent, I mean, what is that? And all of the indigenous teachings, the African teachings, the Maoris, the Aborigines, the first people of North America, Mayans, all of them, the Hindus, but whatever, it's all natural law, and it's all about spiritual truth.
It's different paths to get to the same place of peace, love, and harmony. And I mean, years ago, I've attended churches, and I had people say to me, "You get spirituality much more in depth than what most people do." I went to church to educate myself, as silly as that sounds, because I never went to church when I was younger. But the minute that they started talking that Jesus is the only way, we got to get you into Bible study and blah, 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 I was like, nope, this is not the place for me. Because anything that's fundamentalist in viewpoint is problematic. And I worked with the indigenous for 4 years and did try to bring the whole spiritual truth. They have a lot of beautiful teachings. They're not living it, unfortunately, right? And never mind what it's causing with other races, denominations, what it's doing within their own people. And I could see that. I actually started to speak to some elders with regards to, my approach and what I was doing. And he said to me, "I hate to tell you this, but you're not native. They're not going to hear you right now."
Yeah.
He goes, "Yes, you're planting seeds." He goes, "But I'm in the community." He is, he is part non-native, but he is full Mohawk. Like, it's incredible, this man, what he walks. And he just said to me, he said, "Take care of you. You've planted seeds. One day, some of them may get it." And I understand that. Sometimes we plant seeds, and we actually having a conversation with Alana about some other things that I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, I can't put my energy there in teaching people if they're not willing to listen. And that's been a pattern in my life. And I realized that this is exactly where I need to be, working with a collective. I've been wanting a collective for years, but divine timing. I really do believe everything is orchestrated when it needs to be orchestrated.
Well, and yeah, I think that's the times right now that we're moving into a time where there's more and more people that are searching, that are waking up and saying, okay, there's got to be more to this. This life than just work and save for retirement. So, and I like what when Angela was talking there, what were you talking about, the in the darkness, like going back to what we originally were talking about, is that birthing, that we're moving into the darkness and in the stages of labor, which is messy and painful and scary. Like, I don't know about you, but I've had a couple babies and it's like not real fun. It's scary. You don't know what's going on, even though you know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. And so it's really a time of like, you know what, come on over here. The light's here, like really gathering together. And that's one of the things I always say is like, when women gather, we radiate. and it exponentially radiates. And so these gatherings are so important for people. I
Well,
love
and
it.
we, as like you said, as a women collective, we bring out the best in each other and we elevate each other in that way. And like you said, every time women collect, that's what always happens in retreats and whatever. But I felt this like in the community that we have with Spirituality Amplified and the spiritual experts and stuff, it's like everybody last year in the whole like September to December, January, the collective, everybody I was having conversations with were feeling this need to like be louder, the need to have more people hear what they're sharing, to have more like to connect with more people. That light within them, the drive was given to them to step up. And I felt like I said, there was a bunch of us that were talking. It's like it feels like we were in this stage of getting ready to be ready. And now I feel like you said, Pam, earlier when we talked, just like 2025 is a different year. We're here to step up, to show, to be that light because of the chaos. We have to step up, like you said earlier, Janice. And there's people that are in this space they might be stepping back a bit, and that's okay. That's their journey. But then there's those of us that are like, okay, let's get on this. Let's be the light how can we make this happen? Lean
Yeah.
into what you said there.
Lean into it and lead.
There's an aspect as well, and I'm kind of hearing it coming through almost as the golden thread sitting underneath us, is that we've done the work. We've done, I've walked through freaking fire and hot coals, and I mean, my Saturn return was something else. Everything. It was like the tower in the tarot collapsed. It completely collapsed. And so we've done the work. And in having done the work, and it's not to say other stuff is not going to come up and bite
Nope.
my ass. It's called life. But in having done the work, also brings about this beautiful energy of, and then there's a word that's coming up and it's come up again, brings out this beautiful energy of nurturing, of compassion, because of having compassion for ourselves. But the thing that's come up for me, the word which is very interesting, not even about connecting, it's gathering. I'm just seeing the woman's energy. You know how women's energy arms come in like that, and we are gathering. They go out into the fields and they gather herbs. We're going into that kind of nature of storytelling, is that it is about gathering. Ilana and I was discussing with her the other day. I don't like the word collaboration. In fact, it gives me heebies, because if we look at the way that the word has been used, and particularly Second World War, and associating collaboration with revolution, with resistance, it has that masculine, almost kind of negative energy for me, which is even in the languaging, it's around co-creating, it's around connecting, and now this beautiful word gathering. I love it. It's gathering together. We're bringing together.
And
Yeah.
that is so funny, because the power of words is something that I'm very, very big on as well. I don't like the word retreat. It is overused, but retreat in the true sense of the word is
Yeah.
pulling back. And I'm like, no, when I'm going to do my renewals or rebirths, whatever it's going to look like, it's not going to be that word, because, and I haven't had one yet, but I will be. And I'm sure it will be a group of women who are working together for the same cause. And yeah, it's like power of our words. Try. I'm going to try and do this. I teach people all the time. If you're saying try, it's just a justification for not doing it and planting doubt in your own mind, right? Right and wrong, good and bad. There is no right or wrong or good or bad. It's based on your perspective and your experiences, and creates divide, within humanity. But it also, when we're using it with ourselves, which I know all of us have done at some point, what we've done is good or bad or right or wrong, we're creating a divide between our spiritual wisdom and the human experience. And we really want to bridge that, right? We can't escape that we're in this human 3D world. But there's a lot of people who think they can. And it's like, no, the whole idea is to bring it together to create the heaven on earth and the fulfillment. You can't have fulfillment without both of those pieces to the puzzle.
and everything is always in perfect balance, always. It's us that are out of balance, but
Yes.
everything is always in perfect balance. And that whole, also the word workshop, not what's that? People going to go and workshop something.
I'm doing
So-
one tomorrow, but I couldn't think of another word yet.
Well, and I think this is part of it, like even what we're creating here, like Angela and I had this conversation with the collaboration and there's words that we've been using that have been in the societal conversation for eons. So it's the creation of what even language around what we're talking about, like you said, and shifting these things from workshops, from retreats. And it's really funny how retreats right now are so in that people are but it is, like you said, it's that aspect of moving away from something. And most of the time, when you think about it now, people are like, well, I'm moving away from the old version of myself. And this is, again, even going back to language, one of the things that even in what I'm doing or what I do with people is like, people are talking about visualizing, creating their future self or their higher self. It's not any of those things. It's who you truly have always been. And it's recognizing that. So even that verbiage for me is like when we talk about the
It's
future self or the higher self, that's not it either.
It's a remembering.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've
Remembering.
always said our experiences awaken the wisdom that we already have within. We are born with it. It's there. This human experience is high school for our soul's growth.
Well, you only have to look at children before they go into the system, before they social, how pure they are as souls. They are just,
And
they are unbelievable. And it's that disconnect, which is just a form of control and power and all of those things that we know so well. And the thing for me that I'm coming to realize more and more, if I hadn't gone through my own desensitization to what goes on, I wouldn't have the understanding that I have, I wouldn't have the wisdom that I have, and I wouldn't be able to have the compassion for people who haven't yet or who are in the first throes of actually waking up. And I think, coming back to language, for me, what I'm starting to see and experience is that living in the 5D world has a language all of its own. And this is part of what we're co-creating, is this new language. So things like, I've tossed out things like goals. Don't have
Yes.
goals.
Yep.
Don't have goals. I set an intention, but I don't have a goal. And it doesn't have a date attached to it because it's in flow. And it's all those, letting go of all those old constructs that keep people in the hamster wheel, the to-do list, and the check. Blah. No.
you're
It's
speaking
not.
my language, Angela.
Yeah.
Right? Me too.
Yeah. When you talk about the language too, I've always had, so much trouble when people said, I'm so blessed. It's like, no, you aren't. We all are the same, right? There is no such thing as blessings. And that's the same as like, there's no such thing as miracles. That's just the natural way of life. You're just opening up to it. So I like the word magic over miracles because magic is what's all around us all the time. And then we can open up to it. So I am not more blessed than anyone else because we all get it, right? So that kind of language had always bothered me too.
Well, like you said, it's going back to that. Oh shoot, I just lost that thought too. Of like going to the from the magic, but going to that. Totally lost it. Fine, carry on.
It'll come back.
So I think too, part of this is the knowing within that we already have, all four of us, is that we know that there is this whatever essence or part of us that is much more infinite and powerful. And we've kind of walked that path and we've come to that understanding. And then now, as you had said, Alana, some people are pulling back because the fear is so strong. Now, this is where we together will have like the confidence, the knowing, the certainty that yes, let's go. This is the way to go, not to pull back from what we're observing around us and into the fear again or feeling small or shut down, but to step up and lead and go, okay, We're going to exude this knowing so that you can come with us.
I
Yeah.
could so see us all on stage, the four of us, and just literally
happening?
having these conversations, not about teaching per
Mhm.
se, but having these candid conversations in front of people and having people ask us questions. Like, I
I've had
think
that
there,
vision for like 2 years now.
yeah. Well, you know as well as I've thought about like a podcast like The View, similar to The
Yeah.
View with four people, you know, that are hosts
Or-
or hostess. Yeah, literally, that we can invite other people in,
Mhm.
right? But it's that element of getting four different, distinctly different viewpoints, ideas, like but there's a commonality in the golden thread. I'm going to say I love that, actually, the golden thread, because we're speaking a little bit different language, but we're speaking similar language, like it
Same
all
thing.
me. And I'm like, this is amazing.
This is the metaphor of the collective consciousness, with each playing their unique part. It's like, for me, I see it as a tapestry or a mosaic.
Yes.
Picture is, and each stitch is needed to complete the tapestry. Each piece of mosaic is needed to complete what the drawing. And Janice, you do all the art, so I mean, it's that kind of thing. Is that there's the collective, but there's still within the collective there's the uniqueness of what each person brings in. And that is it's this is mirroring what needs to be happening in the greater consciousness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I love that you said the thread, Pamela, because that has been coming up in my language since December, constantly finding the thread. And I love, the red thread and all the like learnings around that. But the golden thread is, and I even just said it last night again, find the thread that runs through it all, right? Like
Well,
that.
when Angela said the golden thread, that there just resonated so deeply in me. And
Yeah.
I think of that Christ consciousness,
Yeah.
right, in that golden thread. So it's like, oh man.
Yes.
Last name for a podcast, ladies, the golden thread.
Instead of The View.
Yes, of course. I mean, that was just an example.
No, I
you
know. But it was funny when you mentioned that. I completely forgot that you'd mentioned that before, Pam. And I had that thought when we first got on here where we're talking about, oh, look, there's four of us. Then I'm like, oh, it's kind of like The View. And literally what's what came in.
Mhm.
But even going back to what you said, Janice, about like going earlier about just before when you expressed about setting into the collective and where we need to move in the collective, and we are showing that way. Like literally, I felt that in my heart, and I'm like, this is something that I know we've been called to create in some way, shape, or form. I just wasn't sure how that was going to come through. And it just, I don't know, again, I don't know exactly how this is all going to unfold, whether we end up with that. And I totally see us like on a stage or in a like podcast, whatever, having these conversations and bringing other people on to have these conversations. That speaks so much to what keeps coming in my vision of what we're meant to continue to do to be able to show up for this world.
Mhm.
I can even see us having Zoom rooms where
Yes,
we're
please.
having a conversation like this with people putting their questions up in the chat as we're talking.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Opening that up to them for the questions and the dialogue and the discussions. So, and there's also, for me, part of the feminine energy is also bringing in the sense of intimacy. I mean, here we are, four of us from different parts of the world in a conversation that is very intimate, and there's that sense of almost immediacy and connection. I was in another forum about a week ago called the Diva Network, and it's like Tony Robbins in feminine form. Now, there's nothing wrong with that John, all this yelling and shouting and cheering on, and it's kind of, no, yeah.
Now, these deeper connections are so peaceful, so beautiful, so accepting.
Mhm.
And I am, this is an assumption on my part, but I believe that all of us have this uncanny ability to connect with people and to draw them in.
Mhm.
And it's not by force, it's just by us seeing them us listening to them. And I know that that has been a big thing for me. I've been told I've been powerful my entire life. I did not get it. I never understood it, you know, and it was a little frustrating at times. But I did actually years ago have myself recorded when I was speaking at an event. And when I listened to it and watched it, I was brought to tears by what I had to say. And I was like, oh, I get it now.
Mm.
And so I'm like I said, I do believe that all of us in this chat have that ability, that uncanny ability to just connect. And that is where the magic is.
Mhm.
For me, the symbol, I do a lot, you can probably gathered already, a lot of symbolism, and that's out there. I think in pictures. And the thing
Love
for
it.
me that we are all lighthouses. It's not about going out there shining a torchlight all over the place. It's about being the lighthouse and sending that beam out where people get drawn in and attracted to the light that we're emitting, which changes the name of the game in terms of how we do selling, how we market, how we do all of those things.
Oh
It
yeah.
unlocks us from the matrix of social media and all the rest of that influencer garbage that's going on around. And this is where the divine feminine for me is in her strength and her. I use the analogy of, this is my favorite analogy. The divine feminine is like silk. And if you think about how you can't tear silk, you can't, it does say, silk does not rip, it won't tear, but it is a soft and gentle. So the divine feminine in balance is in her gentle power, and the sacred masculine in balance is powerfully gentle. And that's where, when we get to that balance, that's when things start to really unfold. And I'm just learning, it's not about pushing, it's not about forcing, it's about, you used it, Janice, about being in the flow, being the water, being in flow. But for me, the power of that lighthouse image is just, if we're sending out the vibration, it will, Pamela, you said it earlier on, it will attract in the people who are wanting to connect with this energy and this vibration. And that makes all the difference in the world.
By being it, we allow people to step into it and come along with us.
Correct.
And I think too, we all have a very good, finger on the pulse of the energy right now
Mm-hmm.
and can feel that and can feel what's needed out there,
Mm-hmm.
which is beautiful. So I love the idea of a talk show.
Yes.
On YouTube. Yeah,
Mhm.
or podcast, but YouTube would be a great
I think so.
general platform that we could, I could see this growing very, very much so. And keeping it very open, like maybe having some loose topics as we
Mhm.
come in, but maybe even like taking time to, well, I know I channel, so it's like I did this morning, kind of channel in what, or pull a card or whatever that,
Yes.
what's the message coming through for us for today that we can talk about, each of us bringing that, and then round table. And that would be, I think, very powerful and very gentle, like you said, Pamela, and very soothing for people out there.
Well, and it's opening the
Absolutely.
stage, opening the opportunity for people to have the conversation. And it's normalizing the conversation. Like there's definitely people out there that are already doing things that are like this and in this conversation. But I think, like you said, it's that we need these four structures between the four of us of bringing that in, of each one of us and our gifts and what we do, to be able to naturally invite that in. Because each one of us bring a different, like you said earlier, Pam, like each one of us bring a different piece to the puzzle, but all four of us are needed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Talk
what are
show.
the logistics around this? How do we do this is the question then.
Well, and part of that is like, it can be just a going live on YouTube. Like we could literally, because if you do a live, people can reply in the comments. Again, the more you have these conversations, the more people are going to continue to share. The other piece is about sharing it on all of our, because all of us have a fairly large network of people too. So sharing it on our social medias and stuff like that, and creating opportunity for people to know and follow along, right? Follow along the story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I'm actually loving about this and how we're communicating about it, it's not about what are we selling.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we're not selling anything.
Mm-mm.
It's not about that at all. It's about this is being of service.
Mhm.
Yes.
This really is about being of service. And
The
what I've
path-
learned in my own life and in my own business, when you trust in God and trust in the flow, God of your understanding, as I like to say it, the money flows. The money will come, right, from an aspect of being taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But I absolutely love that this is not about, well, I'm selling this product or this gift, or people will just get to know us, and who's gravitated to us will gravitate to us for what they need. So I absolutely love that aspect of it, because I was talking with Alana, I've been involved in things and the egos are still very much involved. I've walked away from so many things because of people's egos going, okay, even churches, this is not where I'm meant to be, because it's the egos that are talking. It's not this true essence of unconditional love and acceptance and allowing people to step into their own.
Yeah.
I can't change somebody. I can't make somebody do something they don't want to do. No one can make me feel the way that I think I've got a thing that I'm going to be posting is, yes, I can let other people impact me if I choose to let
Mhm.
them.
Well, there you go. And that's the lighthouse too, right?
Yeah.
Like I like what Angela said, the lighthouse.
Yeah, I
That's
love
another
that.
good one.
I mean, I'm like, okay, from a branding perspective, it's coming together.
The golden thread, the lighthouse. There's a whole bunch of pieces here we can evolve into.
Yeah. The golden
Absolutely.
lighthouse.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Oh.
with the threads, the golden threads coming out of the lighthouse.
Oh,
Mm.
I
okay.
mean, I
can
know I
paint a
just got
I was just gonna say,
goosebumps.
Janice. Janice is where you get to paint a picture.
I actually, when you said the lighthouse, Angela, because I just wrote a story in a collaborative book that's coming out, and the lighthouse was a big theme in my story. And I have a painting group at 1:30 here, and I'm like, we're painting imaginative stuff, like our imagination. I'm like, I'm gonna paint a lighthouse. Just when you said,
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
yeah, we'll play with that.
Wait, where are you? As in country, where are you? Are you also in Canada?
I'm in Canada. I'm on the other side of the country. I'm in Alberta, Canada. So, and where are you in South Africa?
Johannesburg.
Johannesburg. Okay, cool.
Beautiful.
Pamela,
but
I missed where you said you were from.
Pefferlaw,
Ontario.
Ontario.
Buffalo. Okay.
Pefferlaw, Ontario.
Pefferlaw.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's about 20 minutes north of Newmarket.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm from Kitchener-Waterloo originally. So,
Okay.
okay. Very cool. And family in PEI.
Yep.
I have lots of friends there, and yes, newfound family.
There we are. I love it.
Angela.
I don't know. It's such a beautiful energy to be a part of. It really is. And Alana, I just want to acknowledge you for how you so are in tune with, aligned to your knowing and your intuition, and how you've brought this together. So I just want to acknowledge you for
Yeah.
picking up on what spirit is directing you to do and just going with it. And I think that's the thing, is, as we're stepping out into a space of faith and trust. And that faith and trust is the antidote to all of the nonsense, the noise, the fear, and everything that's going on around us. And the more I'm learning to be present and to stay in the moment and stay in the day, the less the noise has an opportunity to actually infiltrate into my space. I was just laughing when you're talking about the threads. I started yoga about 2 months ago, and there's this one pose, I don't know if you do yoga, and when they talk about thread the needle, and you go into this contortion of sticking your arm underneath the other arm and all this. But it's if we take the metaphor of thread and needles and the tapestries of life, it becomes such a beautiful, colorful language. Janice, maybe that's the next thing you can paint as a tapestry. with it.
Or That's what's like, how is this part? The lighthouse is in the front with the tapestry in the background.
Yeah.
Wrapped in thread.
Because it's again, it's a feminine metaphor, the weaving. If you think about the weaving of how, and Grandmother Spider and how she weaves,
Mhm.
um,
And in the
and
imperfect, it's perfect and it's beautiful.
if you only have to look at a few dewdrops on a spider web in the sunshine.
I
Oh,
start
yes.
getting lots of visuals here.
Right?
That's
And how does
fun,
that all come together in such a beautiful way?
right? I love it.
Well, thank you all for trusting and jumping in and feeling the feelings with me. And this has been beautiful. I'm excited for wherever this is leading us.
I want to kind of, if I can just
Of course.
what I love about this today is how authentic this conversation has been.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautifully real, and the absence of ego, or the absence of negative ego. I mean, ego is still a healthy thing to have, but the absence of negative ego. And I think, as you said, Pamela, nobody's trying to sell anything to anybody. It's just about this beautiful connection and communion of people, women vibrating on a similar, if not the same, energy and vibration. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
We are all walking our talk.
Mm.
And like you said about the thread, that was the common thread that I found between all of us, is that like all of the things we've touched on of the unconditional love, the lack of that ego, and that we're here to create something bigger and make a bigger impact. And it's not about us in it at all. It's literally just what's coming through us. And that, I don't even want to say level that we're at. It has nothing to do with that. It's just, we know that's what we're meant to do.
And when you say that, it just wells up in me. The emotion
Mhm.
of joy wells up in me. I just want to cry, but not from a bad place. It's that joy of that understanding and that knowing and feeling it with other people.
Mhm.
Isn't that the truth around what empathy is really all about?
Mhm.
It is. It is.
So excited for this.
Thank you, Alana.
Thank you, Alana.
Thank you, Alana. Thank you, Janice and Angela. I am so excited to be a part of this and see where it takes us and see what we're able to do for the globe, for
Yeah.
humanity.
Yeah.
And you, Pamela, I have things like there's no workshops, there's gatherings, there's things like journeys. There's none of that. That's the kind of language that comes through for me. So yeah, we're on
I-
a really journey.
We are.
and
I
we're learning from each other too. Like, you know, I never thought about some of the language that I'm using. Let
Mhm.
me tell you, I'm revisiting that because of this conversation.
Well, me too. I have a retreat coming up. It's already set and done, but
Yes.
Well, and this is one of the things Pam and I connected. When did we connect? Like not even, well, it's not a year ago. Doesn't feel like
No,
not that long
no,
ago.
I don't think it's that long ago.
6
Close
months
to it.
maybe.
Yeah.
And like I have notes from a conversation that we had just around this. It was like, because as I'm building these events and things for Spirituality Amplified, I'm like, we talked about the renewal, but we also talked about a collective, like a gathering, again, going back to that gathering of a collective consciousness, but not of people or of things. It's a gathering for the collective consciousness.
There, exactly.
yeah.
Anyway.
I got that really strong message a couple of years ago. Actually, I'll tell you guys a quick story.
Yeah, for sure.
I had a women's group and we were all online because of COVID, and we were just like, we need to gather, we need to get together. And I said yes. And most of them were fairly local at that time. And I said, we need our own teepee, because I kept getting visions of and that was part of our meditations, was be in the teepee and be in reverence and remember that you hold this power, because you are going to get more and more powerful, but remember the reverence. And I'm like, we need a teepee. And it was like, you guys, like, I won a teepee that year.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness,
No
that's
way.
awesome.
Yeah, I did. December 21st. It was September 21st when I said, okay, we're gonna get a teepee. I don't know how or whatever. and December 21st, there was a contest, and one of the girls bought me a ticket. I'm like, who has a contest for first prize is a teepee? And sure enough, we won. So I have this teepee in my garage that actually is going to get erected for the first time at the first weekend of April. The First Nations groups here and the elders are coming to put it up. So that was cool, but that was very, very strongly even the next year was like gather together to talk, gather together to be creative, just gather together in circle. And that's where the as women gather energy radiates, and it heals the earth and it
Yes.
heals us in circle, and it's holding space as the rest of the world goes through the chaos. And that is what's going to get us through. That was the message.
And circle is equality, right? There's no hierarchy.
And
No.
it's we have the sacred hoop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, I know I have to go anyway because I'm supposed to be on another call right about now. But one of the things a friend of mine channels, and one of the things she shared with me through that channeling session was I was asking questions about who I'm like, how I'm supposed to bring this in. And it was about a sacred, that's why I brought the sacred circle in. And it talked about warriors. And Angela touched on this too when we had our conversation last week. Recorded a podcast. If we share that with the group too, I think it'd be good. But one of the things too was around being this warrior, and it's not a warrior as in battle, and especially with the chaos going right now, it's more of a warrior that's holding the line and a space, exactly like you said, holding space for the collective consciousness, even in this chaos. And it comes back to the teepee and the like circle, and like I literally in a visualization a year and a half ago, coming back to this arm in arm, like Angela mentioned, I had a visualization around creating an army of spiritual warriors. And I literally, the vision was arm in arm with women across the world, like holding the line.
I had the same thing.
Oh, crap. There's a reason why we're here together.
Like shoulder to shoulder.
Yes.
And they were dancing, and it was women, it was like tribal dancing, but it was women everywhere.
Yes.
You know, the one
Oh,
thing I
got
think,
sugars.
and I know you've got to go, the one thing that really comes out for me is that the fundamental human need that everybody has to be seen and to be heard.
Yep.
And when we are standing arm in arm and we're holding that space and holding the line, it means that we are being seen and heard by ourselves. We are being seen and heard by others, and we are seeing and hearing others too.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I have been
Yes.
starting events with a circle and Om chant and Hugh chant, arm in arm, hand in hand, for the last couple of years. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Oh,
And
we
I'm-
need to go. She's going off to
Yes.
Literally going through something else too that's like I'm like and when I asked again in that channeling session, when I asked about how I'm supposed to move through that, it's literally, it said stay in the circle around the fire with warriors in this space.
in the Moon Lodge with the
Yeah,
grandmother's
in her
the-
teepee. Anyway,
Yeah,
thank
no,
you so
I-
much for this.
Thank you, everybody, for your beautiful energy and for certainly being part of our inner circle, even if we're a four in square. Squares
Good.
can also be corners. So thanks so much, everybody. And Alana, thank you again for bringing it all together.
Of course. It was
Yeah.
meant to be.
All right.
Thank
We'll
you.
chat
Thank you. Thank
soon.
Have a
you.
beautiful day.
I love you all.
Love you
We'll
too.
figure out our next time in our chat.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.